Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. As part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats, and these are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. You can find those Porch Play Chats on our website. Go up to the top right-hand corner of IPAUSA.org and click on the YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the Facebook page and be a friend on our Facebook page. And magically, every Monday, a new Porch Play Chat will appear in your feed. Soon to join us is Lisa Murphy, one of our board members. And joining us on the porch with Lisa and I today is Debbie Rhea. Debbie is a professor of, okay, say it again for me.
Kinesiology.
Thank you. I don't know why that word, I just can't do it. I can do kinesthetic, I can do all those words. For kinesiology is out of my realm. I don't know if I need protein or what it is. And founding director of the LiiNK Project at Texas Christian University. Dr. Rhea's been an educator for the past 42 years, the first 11 years in K-12 physical education, and the last 31 years at university level preparing physical education teachers and researching children through physical activity and play. She's an author. And would you tell me what your book is?
Yeah, Wrong Turns, Right Moves in Education.
Nice, thank you. And she is an innovator in how to approach not only recess, but sort of transforming what our hope and vision is for the future of education in the United States. So we're so happy that you're here. And today's topic is how important is recess in elementary, middle, and high school? Let's talk about that, because there's all these different approaches, and I'm not quite sure some of them are the best.
Yeah, so I know, I agree with you. So, that's why I wanted to talk about this particular area. Let's talk about elementary first, and I'm going to talk about something I think that's dear to your and my heart, which is unstructured play, and especially outdoors, as much as we can have it there. Children from the time that they're birth through 5th or 6th grade, depending on what grade level is elementary in a particular school district or school model, that it's very important that it's unstructured, it's outdoors as much as it can be with weather, and that you can have loose parts out there, you can have different types of areas. There's nothing that says that equipment is bad. It just shouldn't be only this type of equipment, that's the only space you have, and that you can't roam and explore and work with doodle bugs and ants and climb trees and build things. There shouldn't be this, well, we have this piece of equipment and this is our playground and that's where they have their unstructured play. It should be all across many different ways. And what I would say is that there are 5 different areas of learning through play that happen organically out in nature. But they also can be organically driven in our indoor spaces if we can't go outside because of weather conditions. And those are physical, meaning doing things that we're moving and getting our heart rates up and being able to do things that are healthy for the physical part of our body. It could have to do with strength, like on monkey bars. It could be going across a bridge, like balancing. It could be climbing a tree. It could be running around, tagging, wrestling, all kinds of things that go with that. And I'm sure some people that aren't like-minded on unstructured play think that's too unsafe. That's a whole nother conversation for another time. But having these kinds of opportunities for kids is huge for how they understand when somebody says no, that means no. When they get into a situation where somebody's roughhousing too much, they pull away and the other person recognizes, oh, that was too hard. I mean, those things we need those things out on the playground. At the same time, in this unstructured environment, it should also be about the creative side, being able to take things and make something that you really want to make out of it. It could be chalk on the hard top. It could be bubbles that you make different shapes with. It could be, taking different landscapes and flowers and doing something creative with that. So lots of different creative things. Expressive. You might have wind chimes out there. You might have drum sets that are built for the outdoors, or ways that kids could have cans and sticks and they can, beat on a can or a stick out there. Just different ways to use expressive. Then there are also manipulative, which, by the way, usually for boys especially, but girls too, will take up, for any 15-minute period of time, about 2/3 of that time will be manipulative, which equates to math and science concepts. So damming up some water with sticks or stones, building something out of stones or sticks, little tents or castles or whatever they're going off of. These are all huge pieces. And then the last type of learning that they do out there is make believe. So they can be in a rocket ship fixing to go off to space, and it's nothing more than just standing on a rock and jumping off. But in their space, that's exactly what they're doing. Or what I've seen in some playgrounds, kids are making campfires with sticks and rocks, and there's not a fire to be had anywhere, but they are warming their hands over the fire, right? Or they've got pots and pans and they're putting it over the fire. And so those are the 5 areas: physical, creative, expressive, make-believe, and manipulative. Every playground should have space enough to be able to have those 5 types of experiences out there organically, whatever it might be. It may even be, I don't know, I've even heard when I'm out on walks, I'll hear wind whistling through a PVC pipe that is attached to a tree, right? They've got a little string thing that's attached to the tree to hold it upright. And you'll hear the music coming through the pipe. And if kids can hear those kind of things, I mean, those could be on the playground, right? But it's being able to understand that there are different ways that we learn and different ways that we engage with nature. And they're all out there for us to be able to take in and do. All right.
And they don't just have to be on a piece of playground equipment.
No, they're everywhere. They're in fields, they're on trees, they're on bridges, they're, wherever we want to have them. There's one school that I've been out to that they didn't make it for this, but it's become what part of their recess now that LiiNK is there. They have a riverbed that runs through that was supposed to catch the water when it rains so it doesn't flood the school, right? That was the purpose. And there's this walking bridge over the rocks of this riverbed that goes from one side of the school to the other. And one day I was over there and there was river in the bed, and these kids were on the bridge with sticks maneuvering stuff in the water, whether it be doodle bugs or little minnows or whatever it was, and then stacking rocks off to the side. They were over on other areas with water and mud, and they were making things over there, pies or whatever. But it's having those opportunities, right? We keep trying to get rid of water spots. We keep trying to keep them away from water. Oh, they're going to get dirty. It's going to be too much for them. But there are ways around that. We've got to teach them how to work with that, so that when they come back in, they're not going to be caked in mud all day. But at the same time, help them understand they can play in those substances, wash their hands off, and come right back in the school. So anyway.
There's a school you should come see in Pennsylvania called Mequon.
Okay.
It's a private school. It goes from preschool all the way up through high school. And they have a bamboo forest that only the secondary kids can go into. So they have, like, the preschool kids, there's no teachers outside ever. No teachers are out for recess. The children have the expectations. If you're a preschooler, you can go this far into the playground. If you're a kindergartner, you have more responsibility and you can go a little further. If you're in primary grades, you can go to the creek. They have a Wissahickon Creek, goes right through. Kids are down there playing all the time. And then if you're in middle school, you can go a little bit further. And if you're in high school, you've learned
Right.
enough responsibility that we can trust you in the bamboo forest.
Wow, that's
And it is
yeah.
truly amazing. It
Yeah.
is truly amazing.
I'd love to come see it.
Yes, Mequon, the Mequon School. I'll take you. Come to Pennsylvania and
I
I'll take
will.
you.
I've written it down. I will come to Pennsylvania and I will come to that school with you.
Yeah.
I would say too, on that note, I love that the kids have the responsibility and
Mhm.
they know when they're able to advance to the next level because they've learned the skills of that level, which I think is awesome, which goes to the character piece that I've talked about before.
Yes.
They're probably learning those skills as well through
Mhm.
whatever they're doing to move them from one place to the next, which is so important. We've got to have it built in some way, right? But
Yes.
the other part that I would throw out there that I think is important, and I with LiiNK, I do, which I didn't say, but LiiNK stands for Let's Inspire Innovation in Kids. And it's 4 unstructured play breaks a day, 60 minutes total, 15 minutes each of those play breaks in schools every day without punishment or tutoring removal. And then a character development curriculum of 15 minutes every day that the teachers can use to work with them. But LiiNK really emphasizes that teachers need to go outside too, not necessarily to work with the kids. Yes, they're there for safety reasons, just because they're not in a situation like this where there's this advancement of what they do, but they're there to keep the environment safe. But they're also there to have their own time outdoors, because the outdoors is so essential for everyone. For D3, the clarity of colors and stuff for our eyes, and for the immune system in general. We stress that teachers have to go out with their kids, but not to engage with their kids, but to be in their own spaces and do their things. They come back in more relaxed as well, right? That's just part of what they do. But I love what you're telling me about the school, and I'd love to come see it, because they hopefully the teachers are getting their benefits outdoors, I hope, in some way. But they're able to do it completely away from the kids, which I think is just awesome that the kids have.
Yeah, it's truly, when I went to visit it the first time, I had a friend who sent her children there, and I may only go through middle school. So I may have been wrong in the high
That's
school.
okay, but yeah, I would love to.
It is truly, because she had to find another school for them for high school, I think. That was same sort of approach. But I was amazed at no teacher outside, children being responsible.
That's awesome.
3-year-olds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing.
Yep. Well, and you're bringing up a topic that I think is really important for kids, which is a forest. Being able to maneuver out in a forest, be able to see the different things that come with tree life, plant life, poisonous things, non-poisonous things, things that you can eat, things you can't, smells. It goes to all the senses, right? All the senses are usually in a forest. And to be able to have that on school properties is amazing. There's a school up in Michigan that's in the Upper Peninsula, that it's in Houghton, Michigan, but Copper Island Academy, it's a charter school up there, and they have their property right off of a forest, and they play in the forest every day. And it's a Finnish mindset. You know, the Finland schools are all based, many of them are based around forestry, being able to go out into the forest, but it's about the senses. It's about helping children be able to use their senses in very, not only acute ways, but in very explosive and vibrant ways, so that they really learn what their different senses bring to them in danger or in happiness or whatever it may be, to regulate them. So
we've talked
about
that. Yes. And I think the most important thing that we've talked about so far is that every hour you have 15 minutes outside.
Yep.
Every hour.
Every hour.
Every hour of the school day. Every hour of the school day, not just at lunch, every hour of the school day.
Yeah.
And then that it's unstructured. Children are able, I mean, I remember Red Rover, let
I
so-and-so
know.
over.
You'd have people with long jump ropes or short jump ropes or,
Remember
just
what the
running.
first we would do outside on the playground, and we had a line drawn in the sand. Nobody did that for us. We did it. Remember the tether balls? Oh my God, I love it.
Oh, queen of tetherball. I know.
I have no spatial intelligence, but boy, I could do that tether ball. I was really good at that tether ball. And the monkey bars where we used to hang upside down and swing by our legs, all of those things
Oh,
are
flip
have
off of them. I know.
disappeared. The seesaws, remember the
Yes,
seesaws?
yes. The vestibular learning that we got from all of those things, the merry-go-rounds,
Oh
the
yeah.
seesaws, the upside down, the flips off of things, that creates so much brain power. Oh my gosh, that's where the brain power is.
And the swings, remember going as high as you could and leaping off, and nobody broke their leg.
No,
But
no.
we've just removed all that because we have to keep them safe.
Yeah, I know. We've taken the responsibility away from their decision making to know, hey, I can do this because I know how to land. I know how to fall. I know how to roll. I know how to do these things.
Mhm.
Versus where we are right now, kids can't do any of it.
They
If they
can't.
fall, they hurt themselves.
Yeah.
If they jump somewhere too high, they break a foot. And it's
Yeah.
like they're just not giving with the fall. They're not rolling with the fall. They're not landing on the right pieces of their body, right? They're like on their sides or their backs. It's like, oh my gosh, no. But it's because they're not learning through play.
Right. And the other big piece that was brought up to me at the conference in October, the other big piece is someone came up to me and she said, I'm a certified playground inspector. And everything you just talked about in my risky, in allowing children to have risky play, everything you talked about is something we prevent schools from doing. So it's almost like we need to engage those playground certification inspectors and say, listen, here's something that you're doing to protect kids, but here's what's really happening later in life, right? Because they haven't learned to fall the right way. They haven't learned to jump the right way, and they do end up injuring themselves when they're taller or heavier or whatever as they get older. And so I think that is another barrier that some schools feel. We have to have our playground inspected, and we can't have, things out there that are unsafe, instead of changing the system again. So we're really talking about systems change across the board, right? But I think we've put in all of these barriers to people.
Yeah.
That as a system, we need to start working at the system level so that it'll filter down. It'll still take us decades, but I think we have to fix the system first.
Absolutely. In fact, we're creating scenarios where people don't want to go out because they're not fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're not engaging anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if they are, some places have awesome facilities and outdoor spaces, lots of room to run and play, which I know not all places do. But for those who do, and you still don't see them outside on beautiful days, not even looking at bad weather days, but on beautiful days, 70 degrees, sunny, and hardly any wind, those are great days. And you don't see kids out, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
And so we got a big problem. But elementary wise, I think we've kind of covered, kind of the ropes there on what kinds of things should be available to them. Definitely unstructured. Structured means that it's adult led, and adults decide what the kids are going to play. They bring stuff out and say, you'll play these things with these pieces of equipment or these activities, and we're going to monitor to make sure that you do it right and that the rules are right. That that they may say, oh well, we'll let you just go engage in the activity now that you've learned it. But the problem is they've already taught them what they think the right way to play is, which is an adult mindset, instead of what I started with the 5 types of learning, which is child set. And so we've got to let the children decide how they want to play, not have adults get in the middle of that and do it for them. But let's advance on into middle school.
Yes.
So with middle school, we want to start having longer periods to play, and we can start introducing competition if we want to back into the play source. So if they've had good elementary unstructured play with character built in. They've learned how to really respect each other, have empathy for each other, be responsible, be confident, have self-esteem. All those things are coming at elementary level. Now in middle school, we could have a 30-minute engagement in the morning and a 30-minute engagement in the afternoon. The problem though with that is that for my purpose, doing 60 minutes, trying to get that every hour, 45 to 60 minutes, is that we want kids to reboot and be ready for learning again. So in a school environment, if you do a 30-minute in the morning and a 30-minute in the afternoon, it's going to wear off if you have an hour and a half to 2 hours after that recess time. It's going to wear off without another break. And even though they say, oh, well, they're passing periods, they're going from one class to the next. Okay, but they're trying to get their social time in, right? And they're not really paying attention to play. They're not engaging. So I would say you could go with a 30-minute model on morning and afternoon, or you could stay with your 45 to 60 minutes with 15-minute play sessions, 15 to 20. But what happens differently is that kids now may engage differently with play structures, play equipment, in that it's more abstract than it is equipment. So you might have climbing wood pieces that go across each other. I hate to say it, but we see it in military stuff a lot. The reason I say I hate to say it is because I'm not trying to promote that I'm moving them towards military. What I'm saying is that they know how to create creative
structures.
These structures that kids will gravitate to.
Because they're challenging. Challenging.
Yes. Sand pits.
Yes.
And with sand pits, I would say they need to have different types of textures of sand, or you could even use, and I got this idea from one of my friends at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas here in Fort Worth, using corn seeds as a piece where they could go in there and they could play in these corn seeds that are very different texture. They're rounder, they're softer than sand, which is it can be more coarse or less coarse, depending on what it is, but different ways that they can bridge over into these different sand pits. You've seen it too, where slides may go down into a sand pit. I would also say we could have zip lines that go from a top of a school building down into a sand pit or into, big soft areas. We could have all kinds of stuff that
climbing walls. They love climbing walls.
Yeah, anything like that has a good soft surface underneath. But those middle schools need that kind of stuff. But they could also have things on fields like it's not really Foursquare. What's the one that has the boundaries around it? You have to stay inside those boundaries with a ball. And
is it dodgeball?
No, it's on the ground only. And if it goes, you're protecting it through these different areas that if it goes over the boundaries or through a hole in the boundary, that somebody scores. I can't remember. It's a popular game that they're playing now. But anyway, it's in middle schools and high schools that they have them. But it can also be 9 square in the air, things like that. I mean, go ahead and implement some things that they can engage in that have structure to them. That are not as unstructured, right? They do have rules that kids can engage in, but they should know how to use those things now.
Basketball courts, even basketball hoops. My goodness, those middle schoolers would be out there running hard.
Absolutely.
And so there are things that you can do. I don't think middle school has recess.
They don't. Many of them don't. If they do, it's usually around lunch. And they'll just have it where when they get through with lunch, they can go out there for 15 or 20 minutes. But most middle schools do not. Now, the LiiNK schools that we have 2 in Oklahoma and then the one in Michigan that are doing at least 2 to 3 recesses a day, 15 to 20 minutes each. And they can play out front in front of the school grounds. They can play in back. They can play, but they have certain areas they rotate to, and they go through 8th grade. And so there are some school models that are doing some things which are good. But it's about introducing that they can be more competitive or cooperative now, and not just the cooperative, collaborative in elementary schools. And then high schools, I love this about Finland, and I know I keep bringing them back up, but they're doing a lot of things right. Although there's one thing that they've started doing that you and I have talked about off microphone, which is technology. They're allowing technology on the playground, which is a huge mistake. It's causing them to be very, very lethargic, sedentary, not do anything anymore. And so their body fat levels are starting to be on the rise now, instead of where they were before technology was on the playground. But high schools, this is really cool. In high schools, they can have jam sessions. So kids can bring their instruments outside and play while others are doing basketball or soccer or whatever they may be doing, while others are actually bringing their clay outside and doing clay sculptures, while others, yes. And I just love that for high school. I think that's a really cool, because by then,
yes.
Am I a musician? Am I an artist? Do I love sports? Do I just love playing with different things outside? That. And so now it's about getting out and just doing what you love outdoors.
And is it still just 15 minutes every hour?
They can go 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah. So they may make a whole class period in that, but it's outdoors, and they get their morning time out there, and then they get another one in the afternoon.
Nice. Because if you're going to have a jam session and get everybody together, you need more than 15 minutes at that point, because they can plan ahead too, for bring your so-and-so tomorrow and we'll go out and do a jam session on the blacktop or whatever it is.
Now, let me bring in physical education for a minute, because people may listen to this and go, well, where's PE? Where do we have physical education? I have 2 points on this. One is that physical education can only be as effective as it can, as it really is built to be, if they've had play as a foundational piece in the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. Otherwise, their motor skills are underdeveloped. Their ability to be able to jump and leap and land are underdeveloped, and their bone density is underdeveloped.
Yes.
So they can't go into sport without lots of injuries if they haven't had play as that fundamental piece, right? The second thing is that physical education in elementary schools is very, very important, to really put those modalities together, to put your manipulative and your locomotor and your non-locomotor skills in a place where kids can learn this with other kids in a structured manner, right? Where they're learning those pieces. And that's where, if they're going to learn competition, that's where they get it. Although I don't think any kids should be learning competition until they're at least third grade, but usually fourth and fifth. And they should be doing everything from a weight bearing perspective on things that are typically developing through movement, not through weights, not through bands, not through medicine balls. They really don't need that in elementary school. It's just through what their bodies can do. But here's the second piece is physical education is very important for understanding how to have exposure to many different things, including kayaking, fishing, going out on a day trip or a night trip where you're camping out, being able to do things with not only the water side, but just bow and arrow, being able to do archery, being able to do, and these are middle school, high school concepts, right? Elementary concepts, they can still do them much more elementary wise, but theirs is built more around movement education. Whereas as we get into the skill development side, there are so many things that kids are not getting opportunities to do, and physical education does that piece for them. Play is so different. That's engaging and explorative, creative, critical thinking, strategizing with nature. But physical education is about, what are we going to do when we grow up? What kinds of things will we engage in that are healthy for us, that keep our hearts healthy and our bones healthy and our muscles healthy and all those things. And if we don't have physical education, we don't learn those proper skills without paying somebody later on to teach us when we're 30, 40, and 50. And we go, I didn't learn that when I was growing up, right? Sport does not do it alone.
No,
We need
no.
the PE side. So I don't want that to be the main focus, but it does have its place. It's just different than what we need for recess.
Yes. And I think the other big piece about physical education is it needs to not just be the trampoline and
Right.
running a mile in a certain
No.
amount of time.
No.
And I mean, true confessions are always on the Porch Play Chats. When I finished my last physical education course in high school that I was required to take, I threw a party because I hated it. I hated it. There was nothing there that interested me except for badminton. Badminton was
And probably
fun.
now pickleball would have, if we had had that then, that's what kids would, right? You would have loved that one now. Yeah.
I would have loved pickleball.
Mhm.
And so I think the lesson needs to be that you need variety
Yes.
and differentiation for different kids. I remember the sit-ups that we had to do. We had to do 50 sit-ups at a time. I truly almost died. I played my entire childhood.
Mhm.
I was very, very active. Those things killed me. Absolutely killed me. And so and so that made me not like exercise. Right. So that's the other thing that we're doing to kids where it's similar to the academics. We're pushing it down their throats instead of giving them options and choices.
That's
Now,
right.
granted, there are skill sets that we need to learn.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yes. There's skill
And
sets.
exposure, right? Exposure to different things that you may not know. One thing I would throw in here, and you kind of touched on it with the variety, and not everybody's interested in the same things, but risky versus safe. Some kids want to, outside of school, they're on bikes and rollerblades or some type of scooter or even the skateboards. And they're doing some very risky maneuvers out there in different places. We don't offer enough things at schools that have some risk involved to teach them proper ways to use their risk. So it's not that we're going out with knowing that we have risk, but it's calculated, versus risk that it's like, you didn't think about this before you did this, and I'm surprised you're alive, right?
Well, and that is because in the infant room, we don't let them crawl on an upside down rocking boat because we're afraid they'll hurt themselves, or we hold their hands when they're learning to walk instead of allowing them to get their own balance and find their balance. We are doing it from the beginning so kids hurt themselves because they need that risk. They're driven to have that risk, but they're not getting it. And so then they try things that are dangerous.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they haven't learned their risk levels, right? Okay, so I want to talk about next time. So I want to talk next time about how our lack of allowing children to risk in early childhood, in primary, in middle, and in secondary, and how we've robbed them of all these opportunities to have acceptable risk, is what I call it, right? Is harming them developmentally and endangering them in the future. I mean, I'm going to take a risk on drugs if you don't give me an opportunity to take a risk and to get that high. I mean, that's why some people, not me, why some people like roller coasters, not me. Some people. All right, so next time. All right, so I'm going to close this out. Stay tuned. So to learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.
Thank you.